What's up, you road rats and street freaks? Today we're working on my 1975 F-150. As you can tell, it runs great, but it's just not driving great. My transmission currently has no third gear, and this transmission is a C6 automatic transmission. It's only a 3-speed. I have park, reverse, first, second, and neutral, of course, but I have no third. I've tried taking apart the valve body and cleaning out the governor, but none of those seem to work, and that was all with fresh fluids and all that. So I know a guy who knows a guy who rebuilds transmissions, so I'm gonna pull mine out and send that to him, and hopefully it will fix my issue.
It looks like you lost another one.
So I've mentioned this truck in a few videos, but haven't really gone through a full thing of what I've done to this truck. So starting with the motor, I put an Edelbrock Performer RPM intake manifold on it, along with the 600 CFM Holley 4-barrel. And I just recently put in a new coil. I've done the water pump, done the alternator, heater hoses. I did not touch any of the ignition system, so it already had that distributor along with those wires and with that ignition module. Now I was thinking about changing all this, but the truck's running fine right now, and it's not really all my worries. I'm more worried about the transmission. The engine is a 360 cubic inch Ford FE big block, and for what it is, it creates a decent amount of power. It's not a lot, but it's good for what it is. So to get this trans out, I'm going to have to take the starter off, but to get the starter off, I have to take the passenger side header off. I was going to have to take it off anyway because there was a pretty bad exhaust leak. So I'll first start with that, then just slowly making my way down until that transmission is out. Alright, just a little update. Yeah, taking starters out when you have headers really sucks, especially long tubes. It took me about, I don't know, 30 minutes to get my starter out because, I mean, the manifold was really close to the starter and it's really close in the frame, so I had to loosen it up, loosen the exhaust from the manifold, or the header, then finally snake the starter out. Yeah, I feel like I'm not going to be able to get it out tonight, so this may be a few days job. So yeah, we'll probably continue it tomorrow. So it's been like a week since I last filmed, but update, trans is out and is already getting rebuilt. Yeah, getting that just finding the time to get that transmission out while trying to work was pretty difficult. But one day after work, I was like, alright, I'm gonna get this out. And I had my buddy Nate come through and help me out. He was a big help. Shout out to him. I would not have gotten that transmission out without him. So yeah, trans out, get rebuilt already. Sorry for being a really bad vlogger. I don't know. But I mean, I guess for the rest of this video we're going to talk about bikes. So back when I was rebuilding my dirt bike for the second time, I hinted at something else that I was going to work on next. And this is what I did. So what you just saw was a TX Racing 2017 restyle kit for the 2006 to the 2009, I believe, CRF 250R, and it came out perfect. It came out exactly as I wanted. It actually does ride a little bit different. With that new seat, it makes you sit up higher, which is kind of a good or bad thing, but it handles a lot different, but it's still the same bike. So I've had this idea of doing the resale kit for a while, and it wasn't until like months ago when I rebuilt my dirt bike. I was like, you know, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna pull the trigger and finally put a restyle kit on this 2006 CRF. Because I've always wanted a newer motorcycle, but this 06 250 has been, I mean, I've dumped so much money into this thing, it's stupid. So it's kind of like my child. I've had it for the whole time I was serious into riding motocross, and I feel like with bikes you can upgrade them enough where they'll just as be as fast as the new ones. They won't be as fuel efficient because, I mean, obviously this thing's still carbureted and these newer ones are EFI, but you can still get some good amount of power with the right upgrades to be as fast as the newer bikes. Now also in my previous video you guys saw this black motorcycle that I pulled out of the barn, and you guys have never seen that before unless you follow me on social media or just are with friends or me. Then you guys already know of this motorcycle. But this motorcycle is a 2014 GY200. It's a Chinese knockoff, but I completely changed the look of it. It has a vintage CB350 fuel tank, a seat from Amazon, a tail light from Amazon, headlight from Amazon. The whole wiring harness was from Wish. That took a long time to come, and I actually built all that in a week. It was a week before we were going up north, and my goal was to finish this motorcycle so when I'm up north I can ride my heart out. That was that bike's maiden voyage, of course, besides from ripping it up and down the drive, test driving it. But when I was up there and it was done, it rode actually pretty good. It's definitely not an off-road motorcycle, even though it looks like it could do it. The suspension is just way too stiff to even attempt riding. Even around my yard is rough. Even going on trails was pretty gnarly. But on the road, it was a dream. And I actually rode M119 Tunnel of Trees down the whole, I think it's like a 20-mile ride from Cross Village to Harbor Springs. But besides that, it was a great ride, and I must have put 100 miles on that thing. So when I was building this thing, I had a pretty good image of what I wanted, and I think I achieved it pretty close. I wanted to keep it rusty, ratty looking. I call it Frankie because my dad and everyone else call it the Frankenstein bike, so it's called Frankie. There is a few things I have to go back and fix because I was in a rush to build the thing. Like some of the wiring for the running lights are not working right, and the E-start on it, you kind of have to jiggle the wiring harness for it to start to kick over, but besides that, it runs fine. It runs perfect. the thing can cruise at like 60 miles an hour. So what I'm going to talk about next is actually this Mustang I'm building. I have dropped hints about that in some of the previous videos, but now I'm actually going to start talking about it. So the Mustang I have is a 1989 LX, which is the notchback version. They actually used to use those cars as police cars back in the day, but mine's not a retired police car. I just have the base model of it. So when I bought this car, it already had coilovers all the way around, subframe connectors, and it was just a roller. No engine, no trans. Currently welding in a firewall because I'm going to have a fuel cell in the back. I have a bunch of engine parts sitting in my barn, and that's really it. I haven't done much with it, just besides putting that firewall in. But once I'm done doing all the welding at this other shop I'm working at, it should be able to come back to my house, then I can send the block to the machine shop, get all that ready. I can actually build this motor. So starting with the block, this is actually a 1986 Mustang GT motor. It's a XXX block. It has just a stock bore size. I am going to get it bored 40 over along with a fresh deck. Cam bearings are good. I'm going to have to get all new rod bearings and main bearings. But yeah, everything else is pretty mint. I'm going to get it checked for any cracks. So it's going to get MagnaFlux. It's going to get baked. So it's all clean and I can give it a nice paint job. So moving on to my pistons, I have some 40 over forged pistons, I believe. Is what my buddy sold me. Along, then I have like some mystery cam. I don't know who exactly makes it, but it's got some nice duration, nice lift. I have roller lifters. Then I have a new crank. I have the stock crank sitting over there. It's going to be my backup crank. Then the stock main caps. I believe I ordered a new fuel pump. Then I have some trick flow aluminum heads and some rocker studs and new rockers. And that's pretty much it. Oh, along with an HO upper and lower, but I believe I am going to get a trick flow upper and lower to go along with the trick flow heads. And sitting down here is about $1,200 worth of Mustang parts from CJ Pony Parts. It has Street Fire ignition. This is the distributor. That's the box. I believe these are the wires. Some ARP bolts. The fuel pump block off. There's a harmonic balancer in there. Just a bunch of good parts, new parts, so I can have this motor pretty dialed when it's ready. So the main build for this Mustang is going to be street and strip ready. It's going to be pretty quick. It's going to have some decent amount of horsepower, and hopefully it can be a 10-second car. I believe it'll be a 10-second car, but I cannot do that naturally aspirated. So my goal for this probably fall is going to have the Mustang running naturally aspirated, but then next spring I am going to get a turbo kit for this car. I'm probably going to go with the On3 Performance turbo kit, but I probably will buy a bigger turbo either from what company or wherever I find, either on Facebook Marketplace or online. That's my Mustang build. Of course, we will get more into that along the way. I will post videos of me working on it, building it, and eventually driving it. So that's today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. Comment, like, subscribe, share, and I'll see you guys later.